We got a big show today. Lots of news is coming out over the last couple of days about the future of the Xbox hardware. We have another big report here from Windows Central about the future of the hardware, the handhelds, as well as the at-home console. So interesting stuff, builds off of the video from yesterday, but just some more information as to what we can expect for the future. The PlayStation 5 Pro, I've talked about this on my channel multiple times, and I think PSSR is basically being beta tested here with the PS5 Pro. You're paying $700 to beta test this thing. And it really does seem like that, as we got some more information here from Mark Kearney himself about FSR 4 and the future of PSSR. Sony is experimenting with AI. We have some updates on Call of Duty, Indiana Jones, and Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. But before we do jump into all of the news, if you are new here and you enjoy daily gaming content, daily gaming news and discussions, hit the subscribe, share the video, like it, all of that great stuff. I see many of you who do watch here on a daily basis are not subscribed, so I would just really appreciate it if you did hit the button. But let's jump over here and let's talk about the future of the Xbox hardware. We've talked about it on this channel. We're keeping up to date on everything for Xbox, for the Xbox hardware, and what we're going to potentially be having in our hands in the next couple of years. We know that there's going to be a handheld and there is going to be an at-home console. And now we have some more information on all of this here from Windows Central and Jess Corrin. So it's a pretty big article, but I'll go over the key points here of the things that sound exciting, things that we should be looking forward to when it comes to the hardware itself. Here's an article that says exclusive Xbox's new hardware plans begin with a gaming handheld set for later this year, with the full next-gen consoles targeting 2027. Now, right off of the bat, that is exciting in and of itself, that you're going to be able to get your hands on an Xbox handheld right away in 2025, but it's not exactly what you think it is or what I would be hoping for right now. I'm sure we'll get this at some point in the future, but these are going to be PC gaming OEM handhelds here, working with Asus, Lenovo, MSI, Razer, etc. They're going to be Xbox branded gaming handhelds, and they say that they are slated for later in 2025 if the plans are met. This is code name Keenan. And they say this is a gaming handheld will look unmistakably Xbox, complete with the official Xbox guide button and Xbox design sensibilities. And they do say here that given that this is a partner device similar to Lenovo's SteamOS partnership with Valve, they expect a handheld to be more PC oriented. And Keenan is almost definitely running full Windows, putting the Microsoft Store and PC Game Pass front and center alongside the ability to install things like Steam. Now, that is interesting. It is exciting to a certain extent, but it definitely isn't the thing that I'm looking for right now from an Xbox handheld, because this is just going to be your Asus ROG Ally with an Xbox button on it, and probably it being primarily focused on the Xbox apps when you do boot it up and you launch it and everything. Obviously, you can go ahead and erase everything if it's just a Windows 11 based handheld. It doesn't really matter if it has an Xbox button or not. You probably can map that to work for something else. But this is similar to what we were seeing at CES with SteamOS on the Lenovo Legion Go S. But the difference here is SteamOS, because that gives you that native console UI experience. You don't feel like you're using a PC. You don't feel like you're using a Windows or a Linux device. You can boot into Linux with SteamOS. However, it just feels much better. And that's what I want from the Xbox handheld. I want the native Xbox experience on there with a customized console UI. And the big thing here, which why this isn't the most exciting thing in the world for me, is that this probably isn't playing your Xbox catalog that you have locked to your console. And that's what I'm looking for with an Xbox handheld. Basically, my Xbox console in my hands, that I get to play everything on there that I have on my console, as well as PC, and just jump into my entire catalog of games across the ecosystem. This doesn't seem like that is the case. That could change when they do announce it and then they give us more details and they figure out a way that you actually can access your console games. I hope that will be the case. But as of right now, I don't think it will be the case. And my biggest question here is, does this mean we are going to be getting an official handheld with like the console UI and access to everything the year after or a couple of years after that, when they do finally release the next at-home Xbox console. The article does mention here that they are using this potentially for research for the future plans of the devices. They say this device will likely serve, at least in part, as a research experience for Microsoft, and they expect the handhelds will test new Windows 11 device-aware capabilities while reducing third-party OEM bloatware that are typical of devices like the Lenovo Legion Go and the Asus ROG Ally. I had an Asus ROG Ally. I don't have it anymore. I had a Steam Deck. I don't have it anymore. I sold them both off because I just found that the battery lives were killing the experience for me. If I wanted to play anything, I was always plugged in. I also hope that is going to be something here that potentially is improved with this. I will look at picking this up just to see what the Xbox button, the Xbox experience is with these different devices, if it is improved off of, for example, just having a regular Lenovo Legion Go or an Asus ROG Ally. But we will see. Still interesting here to see exactly how Xbox will handle this, and I hope it means that they're still going to be working on that dedicated handheld in the future. Now, when it does come to the other consoles coming out in the future, we are getting another Xbox, contrary to what people always are saying on social media that the Xbox console is going to be cut and it's going away. Doesn't make sense if you look at the numbers. They're not going to cut off like 30 to 50 million Xbox users like that. They're going to give them another opportunity to get into the ecosystem. And I think when a number gets low enough where they can justify cutting off the hardware, they will. I don't think it's at that point yet, but it looks like the successor to the console has been completely greenlit here by CEO Satya Nadella, and that we are getting this next-gen hardware. They say that the plans include a premium successor to the powerful Xbox Series X alongside its own Xbox gaming handheld and several new controller options. Tentatively, these new console devices are slated for 2027. So that is happening. We heard some information yesterday. We talked about just speculation and what could be on the next console, for example, with the AI upscaling technology, the neural processors and everything like that, which I think will be huge for the future of hardware, so that we can get better results, keep frame rates up and everything, and that hopefully will last throughout the entire generation. And I do believe that this next console is going to be that hybrid, that PC hybrid. You're going to be loading things like Steam on it. You're going to be loading things like Epic Games, and it's going to basically be running Windows. You'll probably be able to boot into a version of full Windows on the next console. That's my prediction. You'll have that, and then you'll also be able to boot back into the Xbox user interface and play all of that stuff. So that to me is extremely exciting. If I can get a great premium at-home console where I get my entire Xbox library, I can access my Steam library all in one place, because I like sitting back on my couch and playing games much better than sitting at my desk with a mouse and keyboard and playing games. That's what I want for the future of Xbox and for the future of consoles, because we could also see a Steam competitor here with their box that they would be putting for the home entertainment system. So lots of exciting stuff. The future of Xbox hardware is coming, and we will continuously stay up to date whenever new information does come out. All right, let's talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro and PSSR. We have some very interesting information here straight out of the mouth of Mark Cerny about the future of the PS5 Pro and the upscaling technology that will be making the PS5 Pro better. It isn't PSSR. It looks like it is going to be FSR 4. So Mark Cerny says a lot of interesting things here, and this kind of brings me back to what I was thinking about with the PS5 Pro, is that PSSR isn't going to be good right away, and we've seen many examples of PSSR just not being utilized properly or utilized well. It still seems like it is in that testing phase for developers to be able to get it to its full potential. It almost seems like the PS5 Pro was a console put out for $700 as a beta test for PSSR, so that it's going to be running at its full potential with the PlayStation 6. And I think as we continuously see more information come out, it is kind of pointing in that direction, that PSSR isn't going to be great until the next gen, until PlayStation 6, where it will be implemented there alongside things like FSR 4. And Mark Cerny talks more about this. Lots of info here. He has a lot of quotes here that we will go over. But basically, he says here, our target is to have something similar to FSR 4's upscaler available on the PS5 Pro for 2026 titles as the next evolution of PSSR. And he says the neural network and training recipe in FSR 4's upscaler are the first results of the Amethyst collaboration, and results are excellent. It's a more advanced approach that can exceed the crispness of PSSR, and I'm very proud of the work of the joint team. So if you do recall, AMD revealed that they were co-developing this technology with Sony as a part of what they called here Project Amethyst. And this is, now we're seeing the results of this. This is exactly what this is going to be happening. FSR 4 will be implemented on the PS5 Pro alongside with Sony and the work that they have done together to make this solution work well. He goes on here to say that's also going to take time to migrate across the PS5 Pro, saying our focus for 2025 is working with developers to integrate PSSR into their titles. In parallel, though, we have already started to implement the new neural network on PS5 Pro. Our target is to have something very similar to FSR 4's upscaler available on PS5 Pro for 2026 titles as the next evolution of PSSR. It should take the same inputs and produce essentially the same outputs. Doing that implementation is rather ambitious and time consuming, which is why you haven't already seen this new upscaler on PS5 Pro. So he's basically here saying that they worked to make FSR 4 here with AMD. That right now is a better solution than PSSR, and PSSR is still going to take a while before it can be implemented properly, which it kind of brings me back to my original point that I said way back when the PS5 Pro was announced that this thing was going to be a beta test for that. I got a lot of shit in the comments and people called me out, but it does really seem like that. I mean, they're using this in order to improve PSSR to bring it to a state will finally work well on video games. And this is going to be about 2 years after they released that $700 console, which I would say that's pretty much the only reason you were picking up a PS5 Pro. It wasn't for that extra GPU power that really is minimal. CPU is the same. It was for the PSSR technology that just wasn't ready when the console did drop. Now, he has some more interesting things to say here. As we know, the RX 9070 and the RX 9070 XT just came out. Those GPUs look phenomenal from all the reviews that I have been watching, especially for the price point, at least if you can get one at MSRP. But they say the raw hardware specifications of the new RX 9070 and 9070 XT are considerably higher than PS5 Pro. We are talking about higher mid-range hardware here in the market that encompasses anything from $200 to $2,000 GPUs. Meanwhile, tests did suggest that FSR 4 does have significant computational costs, but even so, Cerny believes that the PS5 Pro's ML hardware is up to the task of running FSR 4 without significant re-architecting, saying that is what we are targeting and we believe we can achieve it. The peak performance number for PS5 Pro is 308-bit tops without sparsity, which compares very well to the recently released AMD GPUs. We don't believe sparsity is useful for this particular upscaling algorithm. Continues here to say RDNA 4 and the hardware in PS5 Pro are completely separate designs, which is why I speak in terms of re-implementation on PS5 Pro when I talk about the new upscaling network used in FSR 4. I'm definitely looking forward to a future with co-developed hardware features for machine learning that will dramatically increase the interoperability. That sounds pretty interesting about the future and just bring all of that stuff together, co-developing hardware features with AMD, with FSR 4. We'll see what comes out of it in the future and where will all of these features be utilized. I don't think it will just be on the console itself. And he does mention that. He says, now, to be clear, this technology has uses beyond PlayStation, and it's about supporting broad work in machine learning across a variety of devices. The biggest win is when developers can freely move their code from device to device. And to me, that is clearly saying here that this means we're seeing PlayStation games that will be taking advantage of this technology, not only on the PlayStation consoles. We'll be seeing these games take advantage of the technology on the PC, and who knows where else we may end up seeing them take place, maybe on handhelds and everything like that. So that is an interesting thing there. I mean, he did talk about that previously when they did announce the project itself. And if you're wondering just exactly what the goals are for this thing right now and into the future, he does say this. There are two goals. One shorter term, one longer term. The shorter term is to co-develop neural network architectures and training strategies for game graphics, and they're stronger as being together than apart. And they say it makes a lot of sense to combine some of our resources when tackling these problems. And because we began this collaboration in earnest in late 2023 when PSSR development was wrapping up, I'm happy to say that there have already been results. And the longer term goal, again, this is where you see, I think that the PSSR is, or the PS5 Pro is, it was a beta test when it first dropped, was that it creates a more ideal hardware architecture for machine learning, something capable of processing the neural networks needed for game graphics at high speeds. And the PS5 Pro was a wonderful learning experience for us here at SIE. And of course, AMD was an incredible amount of knowledge from its multi-generation RDNA roadmap. Again, it just makes sense to combine those expertise. And FSR 4 and this next evolution of PSSR are a paradigm for our future. Going forward, we expect to have our own implementation of each of the algorithms developed through collaboration. So that's it. I mean, that is the big thing here. FSR 4, PSSR, they are going to be utilized here on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and PSSR still is going to need a little bit of time to develop and get better and be implemented across the games properly. This is, like I said, PS6 I think is where we will see these results. If PS6 and the next Xbox come out in 2027, there will be a big battle here between the machine learning and the upscaling technology on each platform. Which one will be able to do it better? That's where the big game is going to be with the next gen of consoles. It's not going to be about the pure GPU power or the CPU and everything. It's going to be about this upscaling tech that we are getting and it continuously getting it improved. All right, and AI is also being experimented here at Sony. We do have this information that Sony is experimenting with AI powered PlayStation characters. We know AI always causes a lot of discussion whenever it does get brought up. I've said my piece on it. I think there will be a lot of good things that can come out of it that will make gaming more immersive, and of course there will have the downside of, I think people will end up losing jobs. I don't know how much and how significant that will be, but it will happen. But Sony here is apparently working on an AI prototype powered version of at least one PlayStation game character. And this is from an anonymous tipster. The video is pulled off now. It did get claimed for copyright, so you can't go and see it, unfortunately. But it was posted up on YouTube where it showed off the Alloy responding to queries with an AI-powered synthesized voice and facial movements, both in a demo setting and within the full Horizon Forbidden West game. So there you have it. I mean, they're using this technology, they're using AI to get these characters to respond, which I think will bring better results at the end of the day. You probably will have voice actors do some of it, but then if they want to just generate from that voice multiple different scenarios, multiple different reactions and responses from characters, especially if, like I've used this example multiple times, if you think about open worlds and you're just running into characters, if you can use AI to generate this speech that makes it more organic and more immersive, I think that opens up the possibilities of the stuff we will be able to see in the immersion within these styles of games. So we'll see if they bring this out. There will probably be lots of backlash though if this starts rolling out and people catch on that it is AI powers synthesized voice and facial movements, because they will see a lot of developers pushing against this. You'll see a lot of the industry pushing against it. And I would say for good reason for a lot of them, because there's definitely that big fear of losing their jobs, being taken over by these AI power technology. All right, we have a couple more things here, about 4 more stories to go over. First of all, Call of Duty and Verdansk is returning next month. Activision is confirming this is coming to Warzone. They did put this out and they say, as we celebrate Call of Duty Warzone's 5th anniversary, it's time to revisit a place of unforgettable memories. The official Call of Duty account wrote here that Verdansk returns to Call of Duty Warzone on April 3rd. So it did get delayed a few weeks originally, but now it is officially coming out here on April 3rd. And if you're a fan, you're going to be able to go ahead and jump into that map, which a lot of people did love. I'm seeing a lot of complaints right now online about Call of Duty. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really play Warzone very much, so I don't know what state it is in, but some people seem to be complaining. Let me know in the comments what the whole situation around Warzone is, or if it's just Black Ops 6 in general right now. The other thing here is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. We know it is coming out for the PlayStation 5, and it looks like we now have the dates that it will be coming out here, because it appeared online, but we don't know if this is a leak and it's going to change, or it is just wrong. In fact, it says here, according to Gyro, citing French retail sources, the physical edition of the game will be released on April 17th, suggesting the digital version of the game would come at the same time. So if you're on PlayStation 5 and you've been waiting to play Indiana Jones, like you haven't signed up to Game Pass or played it on Xbox yet or PC, April looks like is when it's going to be coming. It is a phenomenal game, so I would highly recommend going to play it if you have any interest in it. It was a lot better than I actually expected it to be. I thought it was going to be good, but it surpassed my expectations in just everything that Machine Games did there with the environment, the acting, and it was really good. The story was awesome, and the gameplay and the puzzles and climbing and parkour and everything was a fun game to play. It was very, very well done. And finally, we have this here, Intergalactic Heretic Prophets, which is the next game from Naughty Dog. We saw that original just quick trailer at the Game Awards. Game looks interesting to me. I'm excited to see more about this game. And now Neil Druckmann has come out and he's given more information on what we can expect for this game. There's two parts here. A quote here from Neil, and then also just a deeper dive into the game itself. He says here that so many of the previous games we've done, there's always an ally with you, and we really want to be lost in the place that you're really confused about what happened here. He says, again, no one has been heard from on this planet for 600 years. So if you ever hope to have a chance to get off, you have to figure out what happened here. So there's no ally. That is something a lot of people were up in arms with when they first showed off this trailer, wondering if there was going to be one. It looks like there is not. And here is more information about the game. It is set 2,000 years into the future, alternate universe where the timeline deviates from ours in the 1980s. A mysterious new religion forms around this time and starts to take hold. Naughty Dog spent years working on the timeline and how the religion changed throughout the years. Naughty Dog's previous games have always had an ally and companion, but they wanted you to feel lost and alone, which is what we just talked about there from his quote. He says here that he really wanted to make a game about faith and religion, but also about being lonely. No one has been heard from on the planet for 600 years, and specifically, he calls out Half-Life 2 and the Monkey Island games as some of the favorite examples of storytelling, mentions the fact that Half-Life 2 has less hand-holding and trusts the player to put together the pieces themselves. And he also jokes here that The Last of Us 2, they made certain creative decisions that got a lot of hate, which we all know what decisions those were. And he says a lot of people love it, a lot of people hated it. The joke is, you know what? Let's do something that people won't care as much about. Let's make a game about faith and religion. We still have a ways to go. That's actually a really hilarious quote there, because they were going for something people wouldn't care about. But as we know, with the main character here, you see up on the screen, the second they showed that character off, you saw all of the usual suspects making these just crazy outrage claims about this game because of the character and the way that the character looks. So people still cared, and they always will care, because it's easy to be outraged about everything. It's easy to get clicks about outraging. To me, the game looks like it's going to be good. Naughty Dog has a very good pedigree. I am interested in seeing more about this game, and I will probably end up playing it when it does come out. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.